Are they ready?
They'll have to be, won't they?
We didn't defeat the Dark One. We set his strongest lieutenant free.
All will bow.
Well, you just watched the newest teaser. Let's unravel it. This is Unraveling the Pattern. I'm Lauren. Spoilers for this video will cover full TV show spoilers for Season 1 and full book spoilers through Book 3, The Dragon Reborn. I'll also be speculating about all of the promotional content and everything we know about Season 2 so far. View the chapters below to skip as needed, like, subscribe, and let's jump right in. So, it's been confirmed we'll be getting the first 3 episodes of Season 2 all on September 1st. Honestly, I'm very excited about that, but also nervous because I'll have to decide if I want to try and cram all 3 episodes into one video or make 3 separate unraveled videos in that first week. It's going to be a long week after September 1st, but I'm very hyped. There is a small part of me that worries that they're dropping the first 3 episodes at once because maybe they don't feel confident that the first 1 or 2 episodes are enough to hook people for them to want to come back for more the following week. Honestly, that's kind of how Season 1 felt to me as well. I'm sure Amazon has all kinds of metrics that tell them what's best, but as a fan, I just want to drag this out as long as I can so we can spend more time talking about each episode before the next one comes out. But we'll just have to wait and see. Now, on to the teaser. This new promo has 32 shots to look at. First, we get High Lady Suroth saying, "Are they ready?" Then we get some quick shots that I'll get back to in a second before we hear Ishamael, who's at Suroth's side by the way, saying, "They'll have to be, won't they?" I can't help but feel like this is a nod to us fans. They're asking if we're ready for Season 2, and Ishamael is saying that we'll have to be, won't we? I'm as ready as I can be. Are you? Back to Suroth. We've seen other shots of this scene before, but it's surprising to see and hear Suroth speak, especially because typically a member of the Seanchan blood or nobility doesn't speak but lets their voice do the talking. The blood do speak to those they consider to be higher than them or at their level. She's speaking in what definitely sounds like a whispery kind of American accent. Later she says,
All will bow.
It might not be the Texas drawl that Robert Jordan said the Seanchan speak with, but I like it. It has that sort of speaking under her breath sound that Michael Kramer and Kate Redding do when they read the audiobooks. Anyway, this person next to Suroth is likely Suroth's voice, with a capital V. Fun fact, this actress is Jessica Boone, who is married to Guy Roberts, the man who plays Uno in these next shots. Jessica Boone was confirmed by WatchSeries.com to be playing Alwyn, who's a Soldom in the books, but it appears like she's going to be playing Suroth's voice in the show instead. After Suroth speaks, we see a quick succession of shots where Uno appears to be grabbed, then Perrin and Loial react, and then Uno is forced to his knees as he glares up at Suroth, who is presumably up high on her palanquin. This scene likely happens before this wider shot that we saw in the trailer, and I'm pretty sure these other shots from previous promos are all a part of this, although the placement of the characters feels quite off to me compared to this shot. Let's look at these shots one by one. In this shot, a Seanchan soldier grabs Uno. He and the others around him appear to be dirty and even have wounds on their faces. I believe this is Masema here. The thing that stands out to me the most in this scene though is how massive Loial looks in the background. I know Hamed, the actor who plays Loial, is very tall, and Guy Roberts, the actor for Uno, is quite short. But doesn't this feel like either Loial is standing on a step above the rest, or they've made him taller this season? In the next shot, we see Perrin and a very small glimpse of Masema again, but Loial still looks massive next to Marcus Rutherford. Look at this shot of the two of them next to each other in Season 1. The size difference in this new scene is definitely greater than it was in Season 1. One of my biggest disappointments in Season 1 was that they didn't use forced perspective to make the Ogier seem larger than the humans. They gave Loial tall shoes, but that's it. I'm hopeful that they will be making Loial larger in Season 2 and beyond. Anyway, another thing I noticed is that someone has their hand under Perrin's arm, as if they're either holding on to him to stand or they're holding him back from fighting or something. I thought at first this was probably a Seanchan soldier holding him, but the Seanchan soldiers all appear to wear gloves, and this is a gloveless hand. That makes me think that perhaps this hand belongs to Ingtar. Look at Masema and Uno's arms in this shot from the behind the scenes teaser, and then look at these other Shienaran soldiers' arms. They appear to be wearing more armor on and around their hands. Could Ingtar be holding Perrin back? Or perhaps Ingtar was injured in the fight the night before, and he's holding on to Perrin for support. In this shot of Perrin kneeling from the sneak peek, he's definitely got another Shienaran soldier to his left side. In this shot, Loial appears to have a full beard and not just a goatee like he did in Season 1. I don't think I realized until now that he does have a full beard in this shot where he's being captured in the sneak peek. I personally like the full beard look better than the goatee. The grown beard definitely shows us that there will be a jump or passage of time in Season 2, as has already been confirmed. But I wonder if we'll see some time just after the Battle of Faldara and then skip ahead, or if the season will immediately start with a time jump, as I've theorized before. If you want a very in-depth breakdown of how I think the Season 2 story will go, you should check out my story breakdown video for more. In this scene when Uno's being knelt down, his yellow clothing is definitely visible under his more blue garb. As you may recall in this wider shot from the trailer, we see what appears to be Uno lying on the ground here, and everyone is sort of fallen down as if they were just knocked over. They're not exactly kneeling. The confusing part about this to me is the placement of the people. In this shot from the sneak peek, Perrin, Loial, and Massima are clearly behind Uno as he's being knelt down here, but they're way behind him to his right. I know it looks like they're to Uno's left, our right, but based on the perspective, they're definitely behind him to his right. In this next shot from the sneak peek, Perrin is clearly looking over to his left side towards where Uno is presumably being knelt. Again, we see a Shienaran soldier here to Perrin's left, our right. Now look at this wide shot again. If this is Uno here, this might happen a bit later in the scene. First of all, Uno was brought in front of the line of people and put on his knees, but in this wide shot there are townsfolk all around him. How did that happen? Also, Perrin and Loial are way over here now, on the opposite side from where they were when Uno was being knelt. And finally, there are no other Shienaran soldiers visible in this wide shot, which is the strangest thing to me about this shot. I wonder if this is a fake out, and this might not be Uno after all. Of course, Uno might not be dead, he might be only knocked out, but I don't see them letting him live if he refuses to make oaths to the Seanchan. Of course, I don't want Uno to die, but I'm also not a big fan of all of the fake out deaths from Season 1, so I'm on the fence about this one. Anyway, in this scene, there's either some inconsistent character blocking, which the show has been known to do in the past, or more likely there's a lot more going on in these scenes than what we've been able to piece together from just a few promo shots. I'll be very curious to see how this all plays out in Season 2. We get a caption that says, "The Great Hunt is on," and in the background we see a shot that we've already seen in other teasers, and I've talked about it enough, so let's move on. We see a brief glimpse of Ishamael talking to Suroth in what's likely the same Uno scene, and we hear Ishi's voice, while we also see some repeat shots of High Lord Turok and his soldiers in what is likely Falma, as Rand walks toward them while doing his best Anakin Skywalker impersonation. I've mentioned a lot of details about all of this in other videos, but real quick, we've got High Lord Turok with ridiculously long nails, pulling out his Heron-marked sword. He's surrounded by his higher-ranking Seanchan soldiers, and someone, probably Turok's voice, is standing behind him. We can also see Seanchan banners of blue with a golden hawk in flight, clutching 3 lightning bolts in its talons. To me, the most interesting part of this sequence is that Rand's sword hilt has a heron mark on it, which wasn't there in Season 1. I talk a lot more about this in my second trailer breakdown video if you want to learn more. Moving on, we get this interesting tracking shot that's looking up from what appears to be a pretty deep crevice. The on-screen text says, "Watch the first 3 episodes." Then we get a shot looking down at Ishamael, who's looking up, presumably in the same location. This is the only shot that requires any sort of brightening in this teaser. I like the idea that these could be stones surrounding Ishamael. I think there are steps over here, which might match the location we get in the sneak peek teasers of Ishamael here. The only problem is that these 2 locations don't feel like they're the same size to me. This sneak peek shot feels more open, while this new shot feels like it's in a fissure in the earth that's more narrow. Also, there are plants in the sneak peek shot, but I don't see any in here. I'm unsure where this takes place, but it feels to me like this is very likely a part of the same sequence where we've seen Ishamael channeling and possibly freeing this woman who's covered in blood in the trailer. Notice how he's standing in the same way with his arms down in the same position, and his clothes appear to match. My theory is that he's probably freeing Lanfear here. I wonder where this location takes place. I love that it feels like it's inside of a crack that was made in the earth during the breaking of the world. It also feels a bit reminiscent of the Eye of the World set from Season 1. The caption reads September 1 as we see a repeat shot of Tar Valon at night. This is probably North Harbor. I talk more about this in my trailer breakdown. Moiraine says to Lan, "We didn't defeat the Dark One. We set his strongest lieutenant free." I've discussed this at length as well in another teaser breakdown. I don't really have anything more to add to this except that they seem to be pushing pretty early on that the man who the audience thinks is the Dark One in Season 1 is definitely not him. I love this next sequence. Nynaeve is wearing novice white and an apron, and Liandrin channels flows of air at Nynaeve, pushing her back a bit. Then Nynaeve, in her anger, lashes out with flows of air and pins Liandrin up against the wall as continuous flows of air wave against her. Some think that maybe Liandrin is actually attacking Nynaeve and that Nynaeve is defending herself, but I believe this is a scene where Liandrin is trying to help Nynaeve with her block. This is probably one of Nynaeve's lessons in the tower. In Book 2, Nynaeve and Egwene are first trained by multiple Aes Sedai while they're on a boat heading towards Tar Valon. In one of Nynaeve's lessons, Swan pushes Nynaeve with flows of air, and then Nynaeve gets angry enough to retaliate and she pins Swan against the wall. Then Swan forces a shield around Nynaeve with great effort. This is the first time we learn about shielding in the books. I'd love it if this is a shadow of that scene, only with Liandrin in place of Swan. It makes sense to me that Liandrin would be pushing Nynaeve, as we've already seen Liandrin's attempts at recruiting Nynaeve to her cause. Whether you like the raw bursts of power that we've seen from Nynaeve so far in the show or not, I do like the fact that this is the first time where Nynaeve's flows seem more deliberate. Weaves of air can clearly be seen as she channels. It's good to see that Nynaeve is learning something in the White Tower. As for Liandrin, there's been some discussion about whether or not Liandrin is actually a member of the Black Aja yet in the show. I love the theory that she hasn't fully turned to the shadow yet, and that we'll be seeing that transition during season 2. Perhaps one of her first assignments will be to take Egwene, Elayne, and possibly Nynaeve through the ways to be taken by the Seanchan. I love the theory that this scene of her in the trailer could be her changing her ring to black, or giving up her oaths in some way. Perhaps seeing Nynaeve's raw power in this moment will be one of the final things that pushes Liandrin to the shadow. Maybe she'll want more power, like Nynaeve. Moving on, we get 2 repeat shots of Rand channeling flows of fire, but then we get this third new shot of a fire starting on the ceiling as his flows get out of control. I theorized in my trailer breakdown that he might lose control and accidentally burn down the inn that he's staying in, or at least cause some damage. It looks like I might be right. I don't want all of the Foregate to burn down, but I do like the idea that Rand accidentally burns it all down, which starts even more political strife in Cairhien. Rand is like a match that's tossed into a pile of dry hay that's also doused in gasoline. Moiraine probably won't have much trouble tracking him down. We get a couple new shots of the damane from the trailer, gathering flows around her forearms before channeling them into what look like weaves made for fireballs or perhaps lightning. I love the controlled way in which she gathers the flows before releasing them, and I love how this weave looks in the air. It's reminiscent of the weaves that Moiraine used in season 1 when she fought off the Trollocs on Winter Night. I've mentioned this before as well, but I really like the different ways in which different channelers' weaves are portrayed in the show. Some use their hands, some don't, some are very controlled, while others run wild. It's awesome that they've put so much thought into all of this. Then we get another repeat shot of Egwene blocking a fireball with a shield of air. Notice how she isn't using her hands. It looks like she learned her lesson from Eamon Valda that channeling with your hands could be a weakness. And then a new shot of Elayne channeling. I love the look of concentration on her face, but this shot makes me wonder when and where this takes place. I believe we're meant to think that this is part of the same sequence with the damane and Egwene, and perhaps it is. But in other shots of this scene, including this next wider shot, where the Seanchan soldiers sort of flinch at the blowback, Elayne doesn't appear to be holding her ground. She appears to be running away. I wonder if this shot of Elayne channeling will actually happen at a different time. By the way, the Waygate is much more visible in this scene here, and we also get an interesting glimpse of the palanquin that was partially visible in the trailer behind the soldiers and damane and Soldam. I'm guessing this is the scene when Egwene will be captured and probably brought before Suroth. I just wish there was a better quality version of this trailer so I could see whether or not Nynaeve is actually here in this shot. I'm still not sure if she's in the scene. And then we get Suroth saying, "All will bow," and that's it. What did you think of the teaser? Are you hyped that we'll be getting 3 episodes all at once? Please remember to keep your comments respectful, and please consider donating to the good causes listed in the description. Special thanks to my YouTube and Patreon supporters, whose contributions will be going to helping the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes for the foreseeable future. And, as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, let the dragon ride again on the winds of Prime.